This is a traditional interview 3-point lighting setup. On this side, we have our key light. In this case, it is the Astra Soft bicolor LED panel. Your key light is your brightest light. This is where your main lighting source would come from, and generally for traditional interviews, you want it to be a fairly soft light. The Astra Soft bicolor LED light makes a great key light because being so soft and diffused allows for really nice highlights on the face without it being too sharp or clipping, while the bicolor allows us to dial in exactly the right Kelvin for the environment that we're shooting in. The purpose of our fill light is to even out the skin tones or to remove any unattractive shadows that might be cast from our key light. For our fill, we are using the Astra Bi-Focus daylight LED. And what's great about this LED is that while it is balanced for daylight, we have the option to adjust how much spot or flood we want to set the light at. So while our key light is a completely soft diffused light, with our Bi-Focus, we can adjust how much intensity we want coming from it. The third and final light for our traditional 3-point lighting setup is the hair light, also known as a rim light, cut light, crown light, backlight. The purpose of this light, which is behind me over here, is to separate my subject from the background, in this case, me. So you can see along my shoulder here, as well as on the side of my head here, there's this really nice harsh light that's contrasting the soft light off of my key. For our hair light, we are using the Astra 6X bicolor LED. The Astra 6X is an extremely bright light, but can be dimmed anywhere from 0 to 100% and has that same Kelvin range of 3200 to 5600 Kelvin, depending on the color temperature of the environment that you're shooting on. The soft bicolor LED also is fully dimmable from 0 to 100% using a dial. As you can see, with this suite of Astra LED lights, we can create a very attractive lighting setup without the need for a whole bunch of light modifiers and shaping tools. Now, a lot of times when you're filming interviews, it's not going to be somebody looking directly into the camera. It's going to be somebody looking slightly off camera in an interview setting. Something to consider when setting up the lights for your scene, depending on where your camera is, your camera should always be placed opposite your key light. We place the camera opposite the key light because that is going to create definition and shadows on our subject, whereas if the camera was placed on the same side as the key, all we're going to see is that really nice large source of lighting and the big wash that comes with that. As you can see here, this is what it looks like when we're placed on the same side as the key light, and this is what it looks like when we're placed on the opposite side of the key. With the fill light, we only want it to be as bright as it needs to be to fill in any unwanted shadows. If it's too bright, it's going to look just like another key, and there's going to be no shadow definition on our subject. And if it's too dark, it's going to look really intense and ominous. The hair light should be almost invisible. You don't want it to be so bright that it's drawing attention to itself, but you don't want it to be so dim that it's non-existent. There's a balance in finding how much light we should put behind our subject so we can separate them from the background that they're in, so they're not all blending together. The reason we generally put our key light above eye level and shine it down across the face is that the shadow lines then kind of come down in a natural feeling way, the way that we're used to seeing people. If our key light is set too low, it won't matter how bright our fill is, it's going to create very odd and unattractive shadows. Having the Astra Soft bicolor LED makes a perfect key light because the light is going to be soft no matter how bright you have it, making people look as attractive as possible. Using the Astra Bi-Focus daylight LED is a great fill light because we can dial in the intensity of how much spot or flood we're looking for, and it being fully dimmable allows us to fill in just enough to make those shadows look the way we want them to. The Astra 6X bicolor is an unbelievable light, no matter the application, but especially something like a hair light, because we have that incredible intensity while still being able to dim it from 0 to 100%, as well as dialing in that exact Kelvin that we're looking for. All in all of the Astra LED lights are incredible lights, and any one of them can do the job that we're looking for, but by utilizing all of them, we really can get a pretty amazing look.